Tene tatanda tangbo ngadu dili shugiyala tene te jisu tatanda jitang ta ngarang ngune ina je chenamba dunghale chap tupik nubanda bota dewala ke tupik nubanda botinde kaya yo mare te yinaya tatanda ngarangi hebe chuindala te zopu sonji jamden de je yarne sumbe chu yimbatan te nane mixalto hirab nimbugundo tene tanda hejuge kokap zambo top ta tende chung kapsala chenamba ke tene te tambe chuela tonon yebatan kalwa zambo yebala tene pepala tuji che hyujutan tene te jesula dojin chungtum sonden dengi yanla tene te kapso chenamba ke zawa lama tong jipe lama tong jela teba tong mugi jini solwa tab naru chi.
First of all, Rinpoche would like to wish everyone good morning. Rinpoche says that he doesn't have any particular blessings and that he doesn't have any particular power to protect anyone from suffering, nor does he have any power to bring anyone to happiness. But this morning he has received or gotten the opportunity to explain to you a little bit of the Dharma that the Lord Buddha himself actually taught. And that in particular, of all the Dharma, he has the opportunity this morning to teach the Heart Sutra, a very profound sutra. And so so he has this opportunity to explain this, and you all are very fortunate to come here. And you have shown a lot of interest in coming here this morning. And so Rinpoche would like to thank you very much for that. And then, as usual, we will recite the short Vajradhara lineage prayer. And as we recite this prayer, please recite it with faith and devotion in the root and the lineage lamas. Doje chanted.
Tene da kasenke kapso tanda tene linji goni jisu tempate hubare la linji te da ti kapso zopu sonji jamdende tene chagi pumburu wala yu yapata tene nyentu chi genden genden chenpo tang chongchu sempe genden namdong tapche to yu ne tene te se tamchi jen tong tong la tene tingen zan la nyambar yobe tsul tenpa ta te tabi ke tsul te hubare la ta teringe kapsu tene ta tling je go ne ten la papa ta je dwa tling na wa la tene ta ti kapsu ta tanda tangbo sanji jamdende samonong hisa chuchi tingen zan la nyambar yo te yendo papa chinre se jong tene hiraje paru de simba jeba rande bata ta te yendo tene pumbonga bo te da jong rong hinji tombar zai ne yup kapso tene sanje je shlap je top ji papa hari po la tene ta tambi chu sam ge twa rande bate jong insar.
Yesterday we began the discussion of the Heart Sutra with the discussion of the setting of the sutra and described how it was given at the place of Vulture Peak Mountain near Rajgir in India by the Blessed One, the Lord Buddha, and that as he was there, there was also a great gathering of the Sangha of bhikshus or monks, and a great gathering of the Sangha of listener monks, and a great gathering of the bodhisattvas. And so they were all together at one time or simultaneously. And so at the time that they were all together, then and so they were all together. And so that was the discussion of the setting. And so following this comes the main part of the text, which is coming to certainty about the meaning, or in other words, coming to understand the meaning through the process of question and answer. And so at the time that this was given, the Lord Buddha had entered the deep holding or samadhi called profound appearance. And so, of course, he was always in equipoise, but it appeared to the disciples as if he had newly entered this deep holding of profound appearance. And at that time that he entered this deep holding, also at that time, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Noble Lord Avalokiteshvara looked at the practice of the profound transcendent full knowing. And so he saw the profound nature of the transcendent full knowing, Pragyaparamita. And he, while looking at that, he saw that the 5 aggregates are empty by nature. And so then at that time, out of the power of the blessings of the Bhagavan Buddha, out of the power of his blessings, the noble Shariputra asked a question to the noble Lord Avalokiteshvara.
Tene ta tela yang tanda sanje jintu sunji tela. Zowe ge tsinga bo kari yore se na ta tanda Sharipu ge drwa tang jinrize ge tilin namba nipo te sanje je hyal ni sumbu ka mare de. Yena yang sanje ji shinji lape tola tene Sharipu la tewe ge tundin tang tene trawa nao ka popanda ko che te yendo papa chinre se la yang te tar to te la ling tapa te yang tapa che ke ling tapa te chunga yin be cherna tene sanji jintu hipa te ta tanda tene sinji la pe ka yin pa tembe ke cherla so yin sare.
And so it says, then through the power of the Buddha. And so what this shows is that what follows is not the actual words of the Buddha from the mouth of the Buddha himself, but rather it is what is called blessed words of the Buddha, the words that arise through the power of the Buddha's blessings. And so at this time, the Venerable Shariputra, it is through the power of the Buddha's blessings that the Venerable Shariputra had the interest or the inclination to ask the question, and also that he gained the courage to ask this question. And then it also was through the power of the Buddha and the blessings of the Buddha that the noble Lord Avalokiteshvara was able to give an answer, to give a correct answer to this question. And so this is showing that it is through the power of the blessings of the Buddha that it is that these are the blessed words of the Buddha. And so that is the meaning of the phrase, then through the power of the Buddha.
Tene tatela tanda Shariputra kapso rich poem, rich pomo con la sonre la. Tene teya chitang tanda ngaranso tambe chu nyamsalembe kapso tene tenda rich la sopa kalchewa maimba. Tene rangi chula depato mugute kalchewa imba tembe kicheto rela. Tene teya chitang kapkala megi chorwa la. Tene namba sanji bichu tela tene pomo ni lan choming duhi yapandabo. Tene songi yore te inaya sonbe topa chesigre te inaya te yang taba mare. Tene daja katemba zopu sonji jamden de tene jagar popi yodo sembe kap la. Tene koran tsuga luksol la. Pe mesibe riru ki tomi chenpo. Tene pomu ki chepar chenpo yepe kap rete. Yinaya zopu sonji jamden deji luksor sardo tene. Tene pomu ranyam yinba. Tene rei chomi meba. Ta tene ke tene luksor de sardo chungwa rela. Junsin tela tene kap ndariya. Tene chay jipe ten yinayong rong. Rei che poam sedu jipe ten yinayong rong. Tene rich pomo con lala sundi ta pemi jeten yinayong rong tene su yinayong rong te tene tanda hiraji paru tu sambalan jupe kokap yore tene ta te tabu song.
And so the question that Shariputra asked begins, son of noble family, how should any son of noble family or daughter of noble family? And so what it is saying here is, how should any son of noble family or any male or any daughter of noble family, any female? So generally, people might think that in the Buddha Dharma, some people might have the idea that there is some sort of stratification or idea of higher or lower between men and women, or males and females. And it is possible that people might think that, but that is actually not correct. It is not correct to think that. And the reason is that in the teachings of the Buddha, there is no difference difference of higher or lower between males and females, no difference of high or low caste. At the time that the Lord Buddha gave this teaching on the Vulture Peak Mountain, at that time Indian society had a very rigid stratification. And at that point there were definite differences considered to be different differences between high and low caste, and between male and female, a definite idea of superiority and inferiority. However, the Buddha started a new system, and in the Buddha's way of doing it, there was no difference, or there is no difference between the male and the female. There is no distinction between high or low caste. Whoever it is who wishes to practice. And so whoever it is, any son of noble family, any male or any daughter of noble family, any female, whoever it is that wishes to practice the profound transcendent full knowing can practice it. And so there is no difference here whether you are whoever you are. So it says, how should any son or daughter? So any here means anyone at all, whether a female, a daughter of noble family, or anyone at all can practice the transcendent full knowing.
Tene ta tejendo tanda papa shari pugusona tene kan lala somyorela kan lala sedu ta tela pe sekndubala tene rejipu kanga hiraji parudu simbala jebe kokap togi yorebesini yomare rejipu mo kanga hiraji parudu simbala jebe koka yorebesini yomare dinani kahi kalba zangbo tenzo tene kalba zangbu ge rejipu tenzo tene hiraji parudu simbala jebe koka yorela tene kalba zangbu rejipu mo tenzo hiraji parudu simbala jebe koka yore mato tene zombi lendo yebe makanga la hiraji parudu simba jebe koka yomare te koka meba te kareresena rang kalba tam madimba andaboji rela tene junsin teacher na kan lala sonne ta kembe tsundaboji sonhisare.
And so here this is taught with a particular word that has a lot of power, and this word is the word who. So how should any son or daughter of noble family who wishes to practice? So this word who is a very important word, because you might wonder, can any daughter of noble family, can any woman practice the transcendent full knowing? No, not any woman can do it. And you might wonder, can any man who wishes to practice the transcendent full knowing practice it? No, not any man can practice it. And so here the word who indicates that it is not everyone who has this opportunity. Not everyone has the good fortune to be able to practice this. And so this is just saying that there are some people, some sons of noble family and some daughters of noble family who have the opportunity to practice. And what is the reason for this? The reason is that not all men have the good fortune to be able to practice the transcendent full knowing. Not all women have the good fortune to be able to practice the transcendent full knowing. They do not have that good fortune to come into contact with it. And so therefore, this word who is restricting it to just those who have the good fortune to be able to practice.
Tene ta tende ke kembo yimbate ta ngosu nyamsu nyongrela tene ta kembo yimbala ta tetawu gokap topate pe kalba sangbo tene ta te na ne tanda che number da boje ina tanda ta yul daja ka tempa zopu sonji jamdin de chi chuchin kollo koru ge ne le pe hajang ta njangbo tene sala njangbo 두고 온듯이는 두행 림부기 지ela 다 매일 루틴 토픽 깔바당 템바 중앙에 티니티 매일 루틴 토픽 깔바당 템바 중앙에 매일 루틴 토픽 깔바당 템바 좀 많이바 티니 담비 추란주 고갑 토파렐라 담비 추지나니 히라지 바로도 좀 냠슬렘베 고갑 토파 베 힌드네죠 깔바상보다 강라라 숨으노 나란수 테바레 tene kang lala sena ngaran chiran nambanda bojela gogi yorela tene teya tanda somlo hepto tona chiran nambanda bojena pe mesipe kalba sangbo perna tanda somlo tana lo jag khonla che namba america la tene me lutin te chewa lamba ina tene hera je parul to simba sinking dra zomyo Hinju la senju ka kwa yomare. Tene hiraji parudu tsimbendo la tusam sepa tu nyamlin sepi kwa kabda hi magubare. La Tini ta ti ka ndana la kalwa sangpo chongne. Tini ta sanje tong chongchu sempe tulwa jising tangpa mangpo pe ne. Tini tangpi chue tar. Tangpi chue tarwe kapsula che namba mei luting top. Mei luting top kap tana la tangpi chue tar. Tangpi chue tar na yang tini ta tandan tana la sunga tabri la. Hiraji paru tu simba samo jepar ndeba senkin te hindu nechung kambare. Tini ta tanda perna tini America la pe mesipi memambu yore. Yepa kangage hiraji paru tu simba samo jepar ndeba yore visini yomare la. Che namba te tabu ndeba chunga te pe kalwa sambur.
And so this opportunity, or this opportunity to practice the transcendent full knowing is extremely rare. This word "hu" here indicates that it is an extremely rare occurrence to be able to practice that. And this is something that we can see from ourselves. This is something that we can see from experience. This is when we, so if we think about it, so this is something that we can see from our own experience. If we think about it, we all have this opportunity to practice this. So not everyone has the opportunity to practice transcendent full knowing, but there are some people who do, and it is those people who do have that inclination and have the ability, the opportunity to practice the transcendent full knowing, who are included in that word "hu." So it is a very rare thing to be someone who has the opportunity to practice transcendent full knowing. But this word "hu" here, someone who wishes to practice the practice of transcendent full knowing, that includes all of you. All of you have the opportunity. All of you have the inclination and ability to practice the transcendent full knowing. And so we can think about how rare and precious this opportunity is. For instance, here we are now in America. And America is a place that is extremely far away from the place where the Buddha taught this sutra on the transcendent full knowing. It is also a very long time ago that the Buddha taught this sutra. And yet, after the sutra was taught, then there were many Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and great practitioners who practiced this and who passed the instructions down. And the teachings of the Buddha spread. And as they spread to here, and you all have had the opportunity to come into contact with them. We're in a place where the Buddha Dharma has spread. And so this is a very great fortune. We have such good luck to be able to have this good fortune to do this. It's an extremely good fortune. And not only that, but also if you think about it in terms of times, if you all had taken a human body here in America 100 years ago, you would not have had the opportunity to practice the Dharma. You would not even have heard the word transcendent full knowing or prajna paramita. It's not even necessary to talk about studying the sutras of the prajna paramita. But actually, it's not like that. You all now are here at a time when the teachings have spread here, and so you have taken birth at this time that the teachings have spread here. And so you have the very good fortune now to have taken birth at this time. But does this mean that everyone has this opportunity now who lives here? If we think about it, there are an extremely huge number of people who live in America at this time. And do all of them have the inclination to practice the transcendent full knowing? As it says here, all of those who wish, any son or daughter of noble family who wishes to practice the practice of transcendent full knowing. So of all the people in America, most of them do not have the inclination to practice the practice of transcendent full knowing. And yet you all have this inclination. You all have the inclination to do it. You have the ability to do it. You can practice it. You have the opportunity to practice transcendent full knowing. And so this is an extremely great fortune. This is a very rare occurrence, and it is a very great and precious fortune that we all have.
다텔라 메카히라 히라지 바로도 좀 반잘투기요 말에 메카히 히라지 바로도 좀 반잘투나요 되네 히라지 바로도 좀 사무지에바지 버는데바 뇌바 생긴데 뭐바다 대바요 말이라 되네 뭐바다 대바메나 냠슬링 투기요 말에 두송시 투기요 말에 단다 쳇넘반다보지 있나 히라지 바로도 좀 반잘 히라지 바로도 좀 받던 잘위 마시바게 되네 히라지 바로도 좀 봐 사무지에 받지 버는데봐 생긴데 단다 중앙에 라 되네 대2 그것도 대 냠슬링 그것도 되게 단당 란소 다 tarbatung tamji jembe kompong tobala pento jenji re sombe depatung tamba je tobade pe masiba ta kapndana la sona kon lala sone nyunyu je yorela ti nyunyu de pe masiba kalwa sangpo yimba rela tin tinando tsik tobade pe kalwa sangpo.
And so not everyone has the opportunity to encounter the teachings on transcendent full knowing, and even those who encounter the teachings on transcendent full knowing, not all of them are able to practice it. Not everyone who encounters the teachings on the transcendent full knowing has the interest or the ability, the wish to practice the transcendent full knowing. So, but however, you all are not like that. You all have encountered the teachings on the practice of the wishings on how to practice the transcendent full knowing. You all have come here and you want to listen about the profound transcendent full knowing. And you want to practice the transcendent full knowing. And so you have the interest and inclination in here. And this is, as it is shown here, is an extremely, extremely small number of people who have that opportunity. This is the power of the word, any son or daughter of noble family who wishes. So it's the power of this is the power of the words to show how rare and precious this opportunity is.
Tene tatela droya kaptana ta iba del karisungi yoresin jetara labarsa asisungi yo tatela semge tani hiraji paru tsumbala depato muguji ni nyamsling tupate kalbasambore kalbasambu inaya di kapsula kandisini nyamsling kugre kandisini dal lab kugre sin jetara labarsa asi haribu tegi yorela 제대로 라버자 생긴데 다치당 그 나란소 그 협도 희나 되니 제 고아 친절로 봐 고아 야보제 맞이나 되니 지당 그 별라 엄마 롱동 생긴지 요아래 yentung singkinchi yoare teni manchang bandago chegi chela gakpaja rongtong ke yentung lo tsepaja yentung ke rongtong lo tsepaja te bandago che kona ti chenchilo pare la ti chenchilo pare tinti ke kuwazani lenya yo mare wana kariri se na tene ta pangan papa ludu la sopa jagar ke pendeta nam chi tene ta chitang umari su tho uma tsawa hira singin da umari su tho singin tenju ge nang do tene kare ten yo are se na uma rongtong ke chutang ji dongni de ten la papa de ten yo are chutang ji dongni de ten la papa de ten ju de 갈침보래 추탕지는 잡아침보지 여나 되네 되게 상지지 공포 톱톱이요 말이야 녀모 뭐 빵톱이요 말이야 녀모 뭐 뽕마서는 타바동 탕진침be 공포 톱톱이요 말이야 라 되네 추탕지 동니도 똑바데 갈치와 임베잖아 다 오마리 주토 오마잔주 예섬 생긴다보다 된주가 농도 동니도 되나 봐봐 동니도 되나 봐봐리티 이나야 방금 파발루두가 오마 yentung betawa 미기 바리베시는 말에 별라 오마 yentong patawa hyalji yibate tini chuin tepa jitin linde par tepa la so pat uma tetsu kor tini sunare la tini tig nani tini te yepare te yendo jagar ke pendu thanje uma yentong tawa hyalji yin tinzo ya uma rongtong patawa hyalji mi hiba mare te la nika gogi yore la gogi yore te ina rongtong tawa tena papaka sola toni na darya chepa che gogi yore yentong tawa tena papaka sola salcha yihi chingo te la tene chetawa yendo tseni dan tempa che chen gogi yore la tene te salpur song gogi yore tene te ni pachu nre na chegi la god de panangi tene rontong ki pekaso la yentong tong gal de pandabo yentong ki pekaso la rontong tong gal de pandabo che kona tene te la non tru yung yo la tene te tabo main pa che tene nyom selen je te ta chetar la persas kandis la go gres.
And so here, Shariputra is asking the question: How should any son or daughter of noble family who wishes to practice the practice of the profound, transcendent, full knowing train? And so here the question is, how should they train? So what should they do to train? What do they need to do to practice? And so the question is, what can someone do? So all people who have the opportunity to practice the practice of the profound, transcendent, full knowing, what is it that they need to do to practice? How should they train in this? And it's important, the reason that it is important to ask this question is because if you do not know what to do to practice, then how can you practice? And so it is important to ask the question. So this question is a very important question. How should one train? And if we discuss it in detail, how should one train, then it is possible that one might take a mistaken understanding of this approach. One might understand how to train in the wrong way. For instance, one might think that there is the self-empty school that says that all things are emptiness, and then there is the other empty school that says that all things have this clear wisdom, or that the emptiness has this clear wisdom aspect, and that in old times in Tibet, the self-empty school said that everything was emptiness, and the other empty school said that everything had this essence of wisdom, and that the self-empty school refuted the other empty school, and the other empty school refuted the self-empty school, and they had these big debates back and forth. And while they were having these debates, and that this is the way that we should do it, that there were debates, that there were, and if we understand it in this way, then this is actually a mistaken understanding. And the reason is that we need to have both both the self-empty and the other empty view go together. And it is not as if you can have the self-empty view without having the other empty view and vice versa. Rather, you must have them two together. For example, back in the noble land of India, there was the great teacher, the glorious noble protector Nagarjuna. And the glorious noble protector Nagarjuna wrote what are called the 6 collections of the Middle Way. And so these 6 collections are the 6 collections of the Middle Way logics, and these include the root Middle Way verses, or the root wisdom, root full knowing verses, and so forth. And so there are these 6 verses of the 6 collections of the 6 collections of the logic of the Middle Way, and they primarily teach that all phenomena are emptiness. And it is important to come to understand that emptiness as it is. It is important to understand this, because if you do not understand it, then you will grasp at things. And if you grasp at things, then you cannot attain the complete state of Buddhahood. If you grasp at things, then you cannot abandon the afflictions. If you cannot abandon the afflictions, then you cannot attain the status of knowing all aspects as they are, the status of omniscience. And so we have to come to understand the empty nature of all things. It is extremely important to come to understand this. And yet, at the same time, if you ask, did the glorious noble protector Nagarjuna only teach that things are emptiness? No, it is not just that. He did not just teach this. Rather, he also taught the other empty view, that there is that this emptiness also has the aspect of wisdom. And so he taught this aspect of it. He taught that it has the wisdom in such treatises as the praise of the Dharma expanse, and in praise of that which transcends the world, and in other such treatises that in the collection of praises that teach the other empty middle way. And so he also taught that there is this clear wisdom aspect to the emptiness. And so it is important to understand that we must practice both the self-empty and the other empty views together, that both are necessary. And we cannot say that I'm just going to practice one or I'm just going to practice the other. Rather, we have to practice both of these together.
Tene teya ta cawan rabu ke miyul de kandirese nang aranso jitin korwan dana tene dunghal nomba natso pa yore tene tela yan dole sona dunghal wata nyangin ta nehon dan bala so paso ta lula chorwa dunghal jongata tene sala nyangin jongata tene ngola nehon dan bala so bata ngo jola so bata tende yungi yore la kapkala tende yungi yo mare devo ta chipo yungi yore re te yina ya te yan jorun roju ya pache juru dunghal charang hinda temba che yore re la ta tig dunghal te me pache che go dunghal te me par che pala tene khande che go yore ta cawa ngarancho ranghin su yina ya dunghal te mende pa yin bechen dunghal ta nyangin ta nengon temba tenso me pache che go yore te me par che pala khande che go yore se na cawa nyemo pa pang te khani jong de yore se na cawa nyemo pala tin jong de yore nyemo pa ndeja heda temu ngajal thodo la so pa le jong yore la ta junsin teacher na dunghal de pon war se pala supang go yore se na nyemo pa tin so pang go yore nyemo pa tin so khande che pang go yore se na tanga nyemo pa ti ge me ngan desha che ge me nga hedang che ge me so ni pang tu gre se na pang tu yo mare tene ona kare go gre se na jolang go pa kong pa sung jo de pang go nyemo pe jo de pang go yo nyemo pe jo de pang sul de la tene sanji ji tap number 2 sung re la tap tambo de nyemo ba de kana tin che ge yo re se na jo da tan sam ba la tin che ge yo ngao nyong zamba nga chipo gugudu somni desha chewa nga la nepa chal gitu somni hedang chewa la so pata nyemo batinde chege yorel tini nyemo bati pon se pala dancing pon go yor dancing pon se pala kare go yor se na tini daten zimbe yolde kabadu tena tini tela ngaran so pe mesipe kalwa zambo chongni daten zimba tin trubari do yor Truba imbi junsin kandirisi na daadin zimbegi yol nga sinkinte luji chinon parsam kaba dukte na yomare. Yoma mepa tela yapo che xe na danzin te do dogo yor. Danzin te do so na nye momba rangin ki dogo yor. Nye momba te rangin ki do na tene te dunghal te rangin ki do te tarbatang tamchi jempe kompon togo yor. Junsin teacher na tachi lam che la
And so it is like the absolute fundamental, most radical root, the absolute root that we need to get rid of. It is that the absolute root of all this, what is our primary aim in all of this? It is that we need to get rid of suffering. It is that we have suffering and we need to get rid of it. This is like the root of what we need to do. It is as the Lord Buddha said in a sutra, that we have pain and sorrow and we wail lamentations. And so we experience great physical pain with our bodies. we have sorrow in our minds, and then we wail lamentations sometimes, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we feel happy. We feel happy for a little while, and yet that happiness that we have for a little while is temporary, and it will disappear. It is the suffering of change, and gradually it will disappear. And so we will then come back to the pain and the sorrow and the wailing lamentations. And so we need to get rid of this suffering. And how is it that we need to get rid of the suffering? Well, we need to look at what it is that this suffering comes from. The suffering comes from. So we need to look at what it is that the suffering. So the Buddha also taught in the sutra. So we need to free ourselves of the suffering. And so, how is it that we can free ourselves of the suffering? The Buddha also said in a sutra that if we that this suffering has a cause, and whoever sees the cause of this suffering. So if we see what the cause of the suffering is, then we can understand where it comes from. Then we can get rid of our suffering. And so we need to look and see what is the cause of our suffering. Where does the cause of our suffering come from? The cause of our suffering comes from clinging to a self. So we cling to a self, and when we cling to a self, then we experience suffering. And so how is it that we cling to a self? Well, what this means is that we think about me all the time, or we think about I. We think, I want this. We think of something pleasant. We think, I want that thing pleasant. Or when we experience, or when someone's going to harm us, we think, he's going to hurt me. And so we have this me, this I, that we are clinging to and that we're holding to. And as we hold to this I, then that creates suffering. So we have to look at it. What is the object that we are holding to be ourselves? What is the object that we are holding to be me? And if we look at the object that we are holding to be me, we see that it is just confusion. It is just a mistaken. It is just a mistake that we are holding. Just confusion, delusion that we are holding to be me. And so, if we look at it, there is no me that we can find to hold on to. If we look, is this me? Is it inside, or is it outside, or is it somewhere in between? We cannot find me anywhere. And so this me is just a fiction. And since it is just, if we can come to understand that it is just a fiction, then we will see it, and then we will see that, and we will be freed from this clinging to self. And so in this way, this then we will be freed from the clinging to ourselves, and that will then prevent the afflictions from arising. The afflictions come out of grasping to me as a self. And so if we see that there is no me, then we will not be able to grasp at it. And so in this way, this is primarily teaching the path of seeing what we call the selflessness of the individual, or the me-lessness, the lack of a me in the individual, and taking that as the path. This is one way of approaching it.
다 대점도 마세 다 랑과 니바데 추지 도메 바송그래라 추지 도메 바송데라 다 단다 녀모바 랑고 또 녀모바 랑고 좀마인 바 추탐지 랑히메바 다 또바데라 드네 다 추지 도메 바또바 또바가 람레라 다 디게 고니 녀모바 빵 녀모바 추지 도메 바또바라 드네 녀모바 탐지 랑힌기게 녀모바 탐지 랑힌기게 와라드네 랭엠 바탐지 세 랭엠 바세발라드네 드네 타르투 데보 코르 둥할 탐지 달 랑힌센지 탐지 단 둑트바 용기 와라라 데라 추지 도메 바 추탐지 동바니 Chutanji de Tatandang Ransu Karisegi Yoresin, Mupon Denzo Dembari, the Yopari, the Ngala Gugudu, the Ngala Nepachalgadu, some Neta, Nyemopati Chegi Yorela, Mupotanji ranking Matupa, Jumata, Malam Tavola, Tona, Tini Tige. Jumata Malam Tabu Tela, Chapatan Kiamba Yungi Marella, Dawa Yungi Mare, Chutanji Ranking Matu Patoya de Tene Kalchegi Yorella. Chutanji Ranking Matu Patoya de la Tene Tanda, Taihiraji Parut Ranking de Tengi Yor, Hiraji Parut Sympathy. Chutanji Ranking Matu Patona, Tene Hiraji Parut Sympathia, Jegi Yorella. Tene teacher na, Tene Tanda, Niemon Paponsipe, Tapjire. Hiraji Paru Samba Tendu Tela, Tar Chutanji Ranking Matupa Tony Reze, Sundu Tela, Jian Mepa, Kanyang Mepa, Yente Mepa, Jan Mepa, Tene, that Tindic, Tombani Tela Tosona, Tizi Goldo and Awayung. Tene, Tatia Maimba, Mupu, Netan Korana, Tomba Niji, Netan the country Sena, Chutanji Kunzo Ranking the Matupa Tombari. Tomba ni yinaya, tomba ni jingo de mompa, jian mi hinking, tindig, tapja, tomba tapja, tindemare. La tomba di hijingo, salva. Tene, dela, zopsonji jamdin deji, tu hijingo, jondurunga, detabuge, hiraptan tembege, tomba niji, da yihi tan tempe, tomba niji rela. Tene, detabuge toni de tena pa, go.
And so that is one path that we can take, the path of abandoning suffering by discarding the cause of suffering. And then there is a second alternative. And this is the alternative, the second path is to look at the nature of the afflictions and to look at the nature of things and to see that they are emptiness. And this is the path of realizing the emptiness of phenomena, or the selflessness of phenomena. And so here, what this is comes about. This is another way to free ourselves from suffering, because if we realize that the afflictions do not have any essence, that they have no nature, then we will not act upon them. And if we do not act upon them, then we will not accumulate karma. If we do not accumulate karma, then we are not accumulating the causes for future suffering. And if we do not accumulate the causes for future suffering, then we will not experience the suffering. And so for that reason, if we realize that the afflictions, if we realize that all things are emptiness, that they are empty of any true nature and cannot be established as anything, then naturally the karma, the afflictions, the karma, and the suffering will be pacified. And so this is a method for pacifying all of the this is a method for pacifying all of the suffering. Now, when we come to realize that all phenomena are suffering and or that all phenomena are emptiness, what does this mean to say that? Excuse me for a moment. So when we say that all phenomena are suffering, then what do we mean by that all phenomena are emptiness? And what do we mean by saying that all phenomena are emptiness? That they cannot. What we are saying is that if we look at the nature of of the afflictions, if we look at the nature of all the here's where we are. Okay. And so what we are saying is that all phenomena are emptiness, that all dharmas are emptiness. And when we say that all dharmas are emptiness, then what we mean is that they cannot be established as anything. If we looked at them, we cannot prove that they are one thing or other. They are just relative illusions. They do not have any true, real existence. They are just illusions of our relative, illusions of our all-concealing perception. All-concealing and relative are synonyms. They are illusions of our all-concealing perceptions. And so if we realize that they are just like mirages, just like dreams, if we realize this and see that their nature is emptiness, then when we see that, they will lose their power over this. We will not be able to grasp at them. And so because we do not grasp at them, we will not accumulate the karma. We will not experience the suffering as a result of this. And so for this reason, we need to come to understand that all these dharmas are emptiness. And yet when we speak about this emptiness, what is the nature of this emptiness that we are talking about? Is it just that they are not anything at all? Are these dharmas nothing at all? And is emptiness nothingness? Is it blankness? Is it just an inert state? It's not like that at all. It's not that sort of crummy sort of emptiness like that. Rather than it has this... the emptiness has this quality of clarity and knowing. It has, and as we come to see the emptiness, we see that the nature of that emptiness, through that emptiness, we see the nature of transcendent full knowing. It is through that emptiness that we can see the transcendent full knowing. So in realizing that, we realize the full knowing. We have this full knowing, and we have this wisdom that is inherent in the full knowing. And so for that reason, we need to come to see that the emptiness is not just a blank state. The emptiness also has this quality of full knowing. It has this quality of wisdom. And so for that reason, that is the sort of emptiness that we need to come to understand.
Tene ta teacher na ta te tabu tene ta te tabu ge chuni de la kande song yo re se na som jemi se ta ngwa ki na kawa ta ye pare se ne tha ji na yo mai pa me pare se ne tha ji na yo mai pa je par kawa tene sem je kuntu ge number to pe ge som na tene hi par kawa kawe ge ne ta je ta te la lab go yo re la je tar la par sa se tinde je la lab ta te la lab go kande se ne lab jong se go yo re ta te la tu som go ne kande se ne la par sa gombe nyosel ne be go ne kande se ne la par sa sung de te la je tar la par sa ta te ya tanda sarahag song na ngupurun zamba chodung dawa te ngumin zamba tewe chong na lines tang ngupolan zai na pe baju dawa longo dawa chire kupare tene ngumin zamba tele chong duwa re sunga re la tene te long kolsa yuwa re la te tabu ke chirna chitara la parcha si tang papa khari pu ke tene tanda chongchu zamba jenri ze la tripare la prasa teki ki nepatan se tati tibat.
Okay. So what is this Dharma nature, the Dharmata? What is this Dharma nature that, or how is it that we should think about the Dharma nature? We, when we talk about the Dharma nature, it is something that is unspeakable, inexpressible, it is said. So it is something that we, with our mouths, we cannot speak about it. We cannot find words to express it. If we think about it with conceptual thoughts, if we try to think about it with conceptual thoughts, we cannot find any way to express it. That is the nature of this, that is the way that the Dharma nature is. And so that is what we need to train in. So how is it that we need to train in this? How is it that we should listen? And how is it that we should contemplate the profound transcendent full knowing? How is it that we should practice meditation on the transcendent full knowing? How is it that we should do this? And so this is why the question is, how should we understand and how do we practice these two? And so this is the question. How is it that we practice the transcendent full knowing? And so the Venerable Shariputra said this to ask the question.
Papa Shariputra Tawati Nane Tatela Sonju Sambachinrizige Tene Tatilin on la Tene Chanju Samba Sambachimbo Papa Chinrizi Onchuki said on them by Harando Tipolan, the Kiki Neso Setati Takong Tawati Kalchimboimba Kong Tawati Paintopoimba Tati Tabuchi Zaini Tene Tatanda Gerdo Kondo Sharipu Tawati Sanji Chanala Sanji Jintu Chumarella Tene Sonju Sambachin Reze Onchu Sedon Damba Haripola Lenta Pati Sanji Jintu Chumajirella Telandiki Neso Sharipo Rijepomo Kon Lala Hiraja Parutusamba Samuchi Pache Prandepati Dataran number tower Shate Sitatela Tene Tati Noms Lentan Rabote Denrich Gugre Sonetiniti Tati Sharipu Tawati Pe Kalchimbo Imbata Tene Teran Papa Chinrizi Onchu Lenta Pati Hinto Kalchewa Tanji Tinjikana Pento Chewa Imbichin and Dataran number tower Shate so on.
So thus he spoke, and so this is the question, thus he spoke, this is the question that the Venerable Shariputra posed to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Noble Lord Avalokiteshvara. And so this is, when he asked this question, then it reads, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Noble Lord Avalokiteshvara spoke these words to the Venerable son of the Sharadvatis. Son of the Sharadvatis is another way of saying Shariputra. And so the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, so the question, what this is saying here is that the question that the Venerable Shariputra asked is a very important question. Avalokiteshvara saw that it was an important question, that it was a beneficial question. And so then he also gave an answer to this question. He saw that it would be beneficial to give an answer. This is also saying that this is a question that the Venerable Shariputra asked out of the power of the Buddhas, by the power of the Buddha, and by the blessing of the Buddha. And so in the same way, this is an answer that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, that the Bodhisattva, the great being, Noble Lord Avalokiteshvara, answered out of the power and out of the blessing of the Buddha. And so he gave the answer thus, Shariputra, any son or daughter of noble family who wishes to practice the practice of transcendent full knowing should fully look like this. So this is, and he was saying, this is an important question. Shariputra's question is an important question. And any son or daughter of noble family who wishes to practice the practice of transcendent full knowing should do it like this. We need to practice in this way. So this is how we should practice.
Tene tateya tachitanga wangdu xie na tata tape kongjin ji jong la songji ji tempa taruge kap ji wangdu xie na tatanda ndodang ngo number ni ta ndatra number tawar chati sidu kandi si nyams lengi yore ndinde si nyams lengu gre ndinde xie na hiraja paru tu tsamba samuche pa che tu yore Tati Samuche Pache Prandepatela, Yamlin Karinangi or Senan Dodan, Chitankan Dodan, Hot Ni or Tene Tati Nani Tanda Tape Conjin Jonji Chosol, Rabutela, Karinangi or Sena, Tene Tambo Tusum Sepa, Tene Tar Gambi Nyanselembi, took up me. Tambo Tusum Chi Tene Dondo Jepacapsala. 강랑 투섬 세계 요아레세나 조체와데 자체와 놀라 투섬 난게 요아 렐라 자체와 놀라 투섬 나와데 존생 간디레세나 드는 도이 난도 드네 추탐지 돈이 임비 존생데 간디 데라 동바니 데라 살와이 히징오이 임비 존생 간디 추탐지 다 내가 공원데세나 마타바 임비 존생 간디 tene gongsa ga da meba yinpe junsin kante yinpa chuji da meba yinpe junsin kante yinpa tenzu sarwar song yuwa rela junsin tela tene tusam nang kapsala tene tanda jachewa ndola tusam nang yuwa re ta gombi nyamsal lempe kapsala kante nyamsal lenge yuwa re se na sapa songha la nyamni nang yuwa rela tene wana ta sapa songha la nyamni se na sapa songha la tene tanda tusam mezi be junsin kandi rese na sapa songha ji nyamni chi pe kasola nda nyamni chi nda gam sungkin chi mato nda gam gu be junsin kandi yimba nda magan na chen kare yeba nda nyamsul lo na pemba kare yeba tenzu salvo song yo mare la sapa yimbe chen nda gam nda nyamni chi ngo nda da jerem ji la nda da bu ji gam jerem ji la tel gam gu be junsin kandi yimba jerem ji la ti ye ngo de kandi yimba jerem ji la tu yi hi ji ngo de kana yeba ta tenzu salvo song yo mare la tene junsin teacher na partu ke ripi ge tope ni hi chebar chin chewe ge chedula kana nyamne che go ge yore se na tusum se go ge yore se na jache wan dola tusum se go ge yore jache wan dola tusum se ba ti tai ni tene songha ji nyamne nda gam ndinji ji sing sung ki che tinan tha che ban da song yo mare la junsin teacher na tene gambi nyansal lembe ka so songha doji ti patar to nyamne nang ge yore.
In the traditions that developed in the land of Tibet, there are particularly two sorts of divisions that we talk about. There are the sutras and there are the tantras. And so we have these two sorts of traditions. And now, generally, when we practice, we need to listen and contemplate and meditate and come to practice. And as we practice in this way, we need to come to understand what the nature of things are. We need to understand how things are. And we need to do this by practicing through doing the practice of transcendent full knowing to fully look in this way. So we need to, as it says here, any son or daughter of noble family who wishes to practice the practice of transcendent full knowing should fully look like this. And so we need to look in this way. We need to practice in this way. And so we need to practice through listening and contemplating and meditating. Now, in Tibet, the traditions developed that there are the different ways of practice, and there are the ways of the sutra, and there are the ways of the tantra. And so what are the reasons that there are these different ways of practicing? Well, generally in Tibet, what happens is that first one practices listening and contemplating, and then one later practices the meditation. And so this is the tradition that developed first. So first we need to practice the listening and contemplating and come to a clear understanding, a clear recognition, a certain recognition of the truth, and then we need to practice the meditation. And so for that reason, first we practice the listening and contemplation, and then later we practice the meditation. And when we practice the listening and contemplation, what is it that we primarily listen to and contemplate upon? It is the teachings of the sutras, the teachings of the vast sutras. And the reason that we do this is that it is taught that all things are, it is taught that all phenomena are emptiness. It is taught that there is no self of the individual. It is taught that there is the clear wisdom nature of emptiness. It is taught that all compound phenomena are impermanent. It is taught that there is no self of the individual. It is taught that there is no self of the phenomena either. And the reasons for all of these are clearly explained in the sutras. In the vast sutras, the reasons for all of these are clearly explained, so we can listen to and we can contemplate the teachings from the sutra tradition, and we can come to understand the reasons why is everything? Why are all phenomena emptiness? Why is there no individual self? Why is there this, the clear wisdom aspect? We can come to understand the sutra, through the sutras, the reasons, because they're all clearly explained in the sutras. And so this is the reason that we listen to and contemplate the vast sutras. Later, however, when we come to meditate, generally we meditate on the tantras. We meditate upon the profound tantras. And the reason that they are called the profound tantras is because they say, you should practice like this. You should meditate like this. You should do this creation phase meditation. You should do this completion stage meditation. You should meditate in this way. And yet they do not explain, the tantras do not explain the reasons for this, and this is why they are called the profound tantras. They tell you what to do. They tell you how to meditate. Do this to meditate. Do this to practice. Do this for your creation stage, and so forth, and yet they do not tell you the reasons. They do not tell you when you are meditating on the completion stage. They do not tell you the reason why the emptiness, or excuse me, why the nature of the Adam is full knowing. They do not tell you the reason why the mind of the Adam is wisdom. They do not tell you the reasons for this. So they just give you the instructions for do this to meditate, do this to practice. And so for that reason, when we first begin to study through listening and contemplation, we begin by studying the profound, we begin by studying the vast sutras. And so here, where it says, who wishes to practice the practice of transcendent full knowing should fully look like this. And so when we are studying first in the listening and contemplation, we need to look to come to understanding of the nature of the profound transcendent full knowing. And by listening and contemplating and following the path of logic, then what we can come to do is come to a thorough recognition of the truth, or thorough recognition of the certainty of the nature of the transcendent full knowing. And so perhaps we should leave the morning session here for today and do a little bit of meditation.
No